I liked art at school and did O-level art. It wasn't very good, couldn't paint to save my life. And I wanted to do art, but they wouldn't let me because my O-level results weren't good enough. And I actually got in on the end because there wasn't very many people who wanted to do art. I don't think in 2 dimensions, I think in 3 dimensions. And as far as I'm concerned, this is easy because all I do is copy what I see. Whereas if you're working in 2 dimensions or painting, you've got to actually think about perspective and stuff like that. So to me this is easy because you just walk around and do what you see. When I started doing it, I mean my first model that I made at school was carving a figure out of soap. I'd never, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody that was a sculptor. A lot of what I do is quite lonely, I guess. Although lonely is not the right word because it's got a negative connotation. I can't really say I was influenced by anything, and now I make a point. I've always really made a point of not looking at other people's sculpture. All I've ever wanted to do is just portray what I see. So that's all the inspiration I need, and then I develop my own style around that. I'm probably a little bit unconventional in some of the things I do. I didn't plan anything in a drawing and then make an armature and then fit the sculpture to the armature. I had an idea. I made a very rough armature so that I could still change things. So it was all sort of very tactile, and that was my way of doing it, rather than have a very structured way. Why would you want to do it the same way everybody else has done it? Because there's only so many ways you can do something. So find a different way of doing it, and maybe have a slightly different result. But like I say, I like the freedom of letting it develop. You should be able to portray the mood and what the horse is doing without showing its legs and its body, because it should all come from the expression. Once it leaves the studio, it then goes all through all the various processes to be made into a bronze, which is very technical. In some ways that's the bread and butter, because that's making it into a saleable object. It's not the bit that interests me, it's the creation of it that interests me. As it was, I sold my first sculptures to Garrett and Aspreys. Because it's also a labour of love and it's my own breed of horse, if I had to pick something out, it would be that white head of the court horse. But a lot of the time you're just thinking about things and working on small bits, and other days you'll make a big impression. Some days you won't make much difference. When you're starting with something like this, the early days, you get quite immediate results, because you're putting a lot of stuff on, you're getting a shape fairly quickly. When it comes to the little details, a lot of them are quite subtle. See, I'm sat from this angle now, and I can see something there that I want to change slightly. With clay, you're kind of up against it, because this is drying out quite quickly. So I can even do that from feel, because I can feel there's something in there. But also, because this has got quite dry now, it's almost leathery. You can actually almost carve it at this stage, whereas when it's soft, it's mushy like this. But when you want to get hard lines and stuff, you want it almost like it is now, which is quite leathery. So you can actually carve it. Sometimes by glass, it's sort of like a negative on the positive. So from that you take a wax impression, which will look exactly like this, but will be in wax. That will be made into another mould using ceramic material. Very technical process. it's not aimed specifically at the horse market, it's an art market, so it's, you know, part of me thinks, is it too specialised? But I suppose the skill is to make it something that's attractive to anybody, regardless of, you don't have to be a racehorse person to have a racehorse if it's a nice sculpture, hopefully.